Breaking news, a final night to remember. Park Jimin leaves millions speechless with a mesmerizing dance performance on what was meant to be just another closing chapter of a global phenomenon. Something extraordinary happened, something no one could have predicted, yet millions would never forget. As the final day of the BTS tour unfolded under dazzling lights and roaring cheers, anticipation filled the air. Fans from every corner of the world tuned in, either in person or through their screens, expecting an emotional farewell. But what they witnessed instead became an unforgettable moment etched into the history of live performances. The stage was set. The energy was electric, and then in a heartbeat everything changed. As the music began to rise, a familiar figure stepped into the spotlight: Park Jimin. Known for his grace, precision, and emotional depth, Jimin has always been a standout performer. But on this particular night, something felt different. There was an intensity in his gaze, a quiet confidence in his posture, and a sense that he was about to deliver something far beyond expectations. And then he moved. From the very first step, the crowd fell silent, not out of disinterest, but out of pure awe. His body flowed seamlessly with the music, each motion telling a story that words could never fully capture. It wasn't just dance, it was emotion brought to life. Every turn, every extension, every pause was deliberate, as if he was speaking directly to the hearts of millions watching. Fans later described the moment as breathtaking, unreal, and even otherworldly. Social media platforms exploded within seconds. Clips of the performance spread like wildfire, hashtags began trending globally, and reactions poured in from celebrities, critics, and fans alike. Many questioned how one performance could evoke such powerful emotions so instantly. But those who have followed Jimin's journey weren't entirely surprised. From his early days as a trainee to becoming one of the most recognized performers in the world, Jimin has consistently pushed boundaries. His background in contemporary dance has always set him apart, allowing him to blend technical mastery with raw emotion. Yet even with his impressive history, this performance felt like a culmination, a moment where everything he had worked for aligned perfectly. As the choreography intensified, so did the audience's reaction. Some fans were seen in tears, others simply stood frozen, unable to process what they were witnessing. The camera panned across the crowd, capturing faces filled with disbelief and admiration. It was clear this was not just a performance, it was an experience. Industry experts quickly weighed in, calling it one of the most iconic moments in modern pop history. Dance professionals praised his control, noting how effortlessly he transitioned between sharp, powerful movements and soft, fluid expressions. Music critics highlighted the synergy between his performance and the song, emphasizing how he elevated the entire piece to a new level. But beyond the technical brilliance, what truly resonated was the emotion. There was a story unfolding on that stage, a story of passion, sacrifice, growth, and connection. It was as if Jimin was pouring years of experiences into those few minutes, sharing a part of himself with the world in the most vulnerable and beautiful way possible. As the performance reached its climax, the atmosphere became almost surreal. The lights dimmed slightly, the music swelled, and for a brief moment it felt like time had stopped. And then with one final movement it ended. Silence. A split second later, the stadium erupted. Cheers, screams, applause, an overwhelming wave of sound that echoed far beyond the venue. Fans stood on their feet, some shouting his name, others simply clapping endlessly as if trying to hold on to the moment just a little longer. It was a reaction not just of admiration but of gratitude for being able to witness something so rare and powerful. Backstage, fellow members of BTS were seen reacting with pride and amazement. Though each member has their own strengths, it was clear that Jimin's performance had left a lasting impression even among his peers. Moments like these reminded everyone why BTS had become a global phenomenon, not just because of their music, but because of their ability to create unforgettable experiences. As the night continued, discussions about the performance only grew stronger. Analysts began dissecting every detail, from the choreography to the lighting, trying to understand what made it so impactful. Yet many agreed that its magic couldn't be fully explained. It was something you had to feel. Fans took to online platforms to share their personal reactions. Some wrote long posts describing how the performance moved them to tears. Others created fan art edits and tribute videos, each trying to capture a piece of what they had witnessed. It became more than just a trending topic. It became a shared memory for millions. Interestingly, the performance also sparked conversations beyond the fan community. People who were not familiar with BTS or Jimin found themselves drawn in, curious to understand what had caused such a massive reaction. Many watched the clip for the first time and were instantly captivated, proving that true artistry transcends boundaries. As the final day of the tour came to a close, one thing was certain. This was not just an ending but a defining moment. For Jimin, it was a powerful statement, a reminder of his artistry, dedication, and ability to connect with audiences on a deeply emotional level. For fans, it was a gift, a moment they would cherish forever. And for the world, it was a testament to the power of performance, showing how a single act can unite millions in awe and admiration. Even days after the event, the impact continued to ripple. Media outlets across the globe reported on the phenomenon, highlighting how one performance had managed to dominate conversations worldwide. Some called it legendary, others labeled it historic, but all agreed on one thing: it was unforgettable. As questions arise about what comes next for BTS and its members, one can't help but reflect on this moment as a symbol of their legacy. If this was the final note of the tour, it was a perfect one, powerful, emotional, and impossible to ignore. And at the center of it all stood Park Jimin, a performer who once again proved that dance is more than movement. It is emotion, storytelling, and connection combined into something truly magical. In a world filled with constant noise and fleeting trends, moments like these remind us why we watch, why we listen, and why we feel. Because sometimes all it takes is one performance to leave millions completely speechless. As the echoes of thunderous applause slowly faded into the night, the impact of that singular performance by Park Jimin continued to reverberate far beyond the stadium walls. What had just occurred was no longer confined to a stage. It had transformed into a global phenomenon, spreading across continents within minutes. Behind the scenes, an entirely different atmosphere unfolded. Staff members, dancers, and production crews exchanged stunned glances, many still trying to process what they had just witnessed. Some described the moment as electric, others as once in a lifetime. Even seasoned professionals, individuals who had spent decades in the entertainment industry, admitted that it was rare to feel such an overwhelming sense of awe during a live performance. Meanwhile, the digital world was in complete chaos. Clips of Jimin's dance flooded platforms at an unprecedented speed. Within moments, millions of views turned into tens of millions. Hashtags bearing his name dominated trending charts across multiple countries simultaneously. Fans began dissecting every frame, slowing down videos to analyze each movement, each expression, each subtle detail that might have gone unnoticed at full speed. But what exactly made this performance so powerful? Experts began to point toward a unique combination of elements. First, there was the technical mastery. Jimin's control over his body was described as flawless, with transitions so smooth they seemed almost unreal. His ability to shift from explosive he-shakti to delicate grace within seconds created a dynamic contrast that kept viewers completely engaged. Then there was the emotional delivery. Unlike many performances that rely heavily on visual spectacle, this one felt deeply personal. It was as if Jimin was not just performing for the audience, but communicating with them, sharing something intimate, something unspoken. His facial expressions alone told a story, drawing viewers into a narrative that didn't require lyrics or dialogue. Dance critics highlighted how he blurred the line between technique and storytelling. This wasn't just choreography, one expert noted. This was art in its purest form. As discussions intensified, comparisons began to emerge. Some fans likened the performance to iconic moments in music history, those rare instances when an artist transcends expectations and delivers something truly timeless. Others argued that it stood in a category of its own, impossible to replicate or even fully describe. Back at the venue, the energy remained high despite the performance having ended. Fans lingered, reluctant to leave, as if stepping out of the stadium meant letting go of the magic they had just experienced. Conversations filled the air, with strangers bonding over their shared awe. "I've never seen anything like it," one fan said, still visibly emotional. "It felt like he was dancing with his soul." Added, "I came here expecting a great show, but this was something else entirely." The ripple effect extended beyond fans and critics. Fellow artists began to react as well, posting messages of admiration and respect. Some praised Jimin's dedication to his craft, while others expressed how inspired they felt after watching the performance. It became clear that this moment had not only captivated audiences, but also resonated deeply within the artistic community. Interestingly, the performance also reignited conversations about the role of dance in mainstream music. In an era where visuals often compete with technology-driven effects, Jimin's stage proved that raw talent and emotional authenticity still hold unmatched power. It served as a reminder that sometimes simplicity, when executed with excellence, can be more impactful than the most elaborate production. As the night transitioned into early morning, media outlets around the world began publishing headlines. Each tried to capture the magnitude of what had happened, yet many struggled to find words that truly did it justice. Phrases like unforgettable, historic, and breathtaking appeared repeatedly, yet even they seemed insufficient. The question on everyone's mind was simple. What comes after a moment like this? For Jimin, expectations would undoubtedly rise. Fans and critics alike would look forward to his next move, wondering how he could possibly surpass such a performance. But if history has shown anything, it's that he thrives under pressure, constantly evolving, constantly redefining his artistry. For BTS, this moment added yet another milestone to an already legendary career. It reinforced their reputation not just as global superstars, but as artists capable of creating deeply meaningful experiences. And for fans, it became a memory, a story they would tell for years to come. In the days that followed, new angles of the performance continued to surface. Each clip revealed something new, a subtle gesture, a fleeting expression, a detail that added another layer to the narrative. It was as if the performance was alive, continuing to evolve even after it had ended. Some fans began to speculate about the deeper meaning behind the choreography. Was there a hidden message, a personal story being told? While interpretations varied, one thing remained consistent: everyone felt something, and perhaps that was the true power of the moment, not just the precision. Not just the beauty, but the ability to connect instantly, universally, and profoundly. As one commentator perfectly summarized, in a world where attention is fleeting, Jimin managed to make millions stop, watch, and feel all at once. The final day of the BTS tour had come to an end, but its impact was far from over. If anything, it had just begun. Because some performances don't fade with time, they grow, they inspire, they become legends, and this, without a doubt, was one of them. As the world continued to replay, reanalyze, and relive the unforgettable performance, one thing became increasingly clear. What Park Jimin delivered on that final night was not just a fleeting moment of brilliance, it was a defining chapter in modern performance history. In the days that followed, deeper layers of appreciation began to emerge. Professional choreographers from across the globe started breaking down the routine in meticulous detail. Frame by frame, they studied his footwork, balance, and control. Many pointed out the near-impossible precision in his transitions, how he could shift his center of gravity in an instant without losing fluidity. One renowned dance instructor described it as a masterclass in controlled emotion, emphasizing that very few performers possess the ability to combine such technical discipline with raw expressive power. But beyond the technical brilliance, conversations began shifting toward something more profound: Jimin's artistic identity. For years, he had been recognized as one of the most versatile performers in the industry. However, this performance seemed to elevate him into a new realm entirely. Critics began referring to him not just as an idol or dancer, but as a true artist, someone who uses movement as a language to convey complex emotions that words cannot capture. Fans, on the other hand, experienced something deeply personal. Across social media platforms, countless stories surfaced. Some shared how the performance helped them process their own emotions. Others spoke about how it inspired them to pursue their passions more seriously. It became evident that this was more than entertainment. It was a source of connection, healing, and motivation. "I felt like he understood something I couldn't explain," one fan wrote. "It was like he was telling a story I didn't even know I needed to hear." These reactions poured in. Psychologists and cultural commentators also joined the discussion. They explored why certain performances resonate so strongly with audiences, highlighting the role of authenticity and vulnerability. Jimin's ability to fully immerse himself in the moment, without holding anything back, was identified as a key factor in the performance's impact. It wasn't just seen, it was felt. Meanwhile, the global media continued to amplify the moment. Television segments, online articles, and special features dissected every aspect of the performance. Some outlets even revisited Jimin's early career, tracing his journey from a dedicated trainee to a global icon. They highlighted the years of rigorous training, the sacrifices, and the relentless pursuit of excellence that ultimately led to this moment. And yet, despite all the analysis, a sense of mystery remained. How do you fully explain something that transcends explanation? Back within the BTS circle, subtle but meaningful reactions continued to surface. Though the group had always supported each other, this moment seemed to strengthen that bond even further. Observers noted the pride reflected in the members' expressions, a silent acknowledgement of what Jimin had achieved. It was a reminder that while BTS is known as a group, each member carries their own unique artistry, and when given the spotlight, they can shine in extraordinary ways. As the narrative evolved, discussions also turned toward legacy. Where does this performance stand in the broader history of music and dance? Some experts boldly claimed it would be remembered for decades, studied by future generations of performers. Others argued that its true significance lay not in comparisons, but in its uniqueness, a moment that could never be replicated because it was so deeply tied to that specific time, place, and emotional context. Fans began creating compilations, documentaries, and tribute videos, each attempting to preserve the magic of that night. Some edits focused on the technical aspects, while others highlighted the emotional journey. Together, they formed a collective archive, a digital memory that ensured the performance would continue to live on. Interestingly, even those unfamiliar with BTS found themselves drawn into the phenomenon. Reaction videos from first-time viewers gained traction, with many expressing genuine shock at the level of artistry displayed. It became a gateway moment, an introduction to Jimin and by extension to the broader world of BTS. And still, the question lingered. What made this moment so different? Perhaps it was the timing, the final day of a monumental tour charged with emotion and significance. Perhaps it was the build-up, the years of growth, experience, and refinement leading up to this point. Or perhaps it was something less tangible, something that can't be measured or predicted. A perfect alignment of preparation, passion, and presence. As one cultural analyst noted, great performances are not just about skill, they're about timing, emotion, and connection. And when all three align, you get something unforgettable. The weeks that followed, the performance continued to inspire new conversations. Dance studios incorporated elements of the choreography into their training. Fans organized events and discussions centered around the moment. It became more than a memory, it became a movement. For Jimin, the spotlight remained intense, but there was also a sense of quiet reflection. While the world celebrated and analyzed, many wondered what he himself felt in that moment. Was he aware of the impact he was creating? Did he realize that he was delivering something that would resonate so deeply with millions? Or was he simply lost in the music, fully present, giving everything he had? Perhaps that is the true essence of artistry, not performing with the intention of making history but doing so as a natural result of complete dedication and authenticity. As time passes, trends will come and go. New performances will emerge, new artists will rise, and the industry will continue to evolve. But certain moments, rare, powerful, and deeply human, will remain.